Hello, welcome to a very special video. Today we're going to talk about the Imperial Guard. Now this is the second third edition codex that they got. Now think about that. This was the second one they got, and the difference between it and the first codex for third edition was 4 years. The first one came out in 1999. This one was published in 2003. I'm sure it's older than some people that might be viewing this. This is an interesting little time capsule. Let's do a little quick flip over and bring it up to the camera and try not to get too much of the reflection in there. But as you can see, we got some of the old guard in there. There we go. Found an angle. We got some of the old... Ooh, you guys remember those? Oh boy. So, it's an interesting time period, and it gives you a lot of context when you think about things. Fantastic little bit of art here. We got a nice little diorama. And we're just going to go ahead and we're going to flip through little bits of it. Now, if you wonder where effectively a lot of the focus on the Catachan came from, this is the book for you. It does have some interesting groups that you might remember, but it was an interesting time. Here's a fantastic piece of art right here. Always enjoyed that piece of art, and a little story for it. And another piece with another guard unit we're never going to probably see again. Another piece of art. Now, this one did bring in a number of different things. We got more information on the hierarchy of the Imperial Guard, a interesting little bit on a crusade going on. We get a image of Lord Castellan's own. Trying to find a good angle so I don't like mess it up too much, but you get an idea just how massive these armies could be. One of the more iconic pieces of art. And we're just going to do a little flip through. You see a ton on the Cadians. So if you are a big Cadian enjoyer, this is the book for you. Collecting Imperial Guard. Now, I like to do this with a lot of these older books. Just talk about this, because you get two armies represented with explanations and how they work within this framework. And it gave people a lot of context on what they could collect, what could work within those confines. I always loved these little sections, as opposed to being told if you have good boy points for doing it the way Games Workshop told you. Some more images of some older models. It's interesting to remember how long this unit has lasted. I was actually putting some together recently, and boy, they are a treat in a lot of ways. We got some elites. Yeah. And let's just go ahead and jump through. We got a lot you get in this little book. This was a fantastic one with a lot of just information. We get some of the guard units themselves and how they were painted. There's a lot of Cadians, you might have noticed. The book really wants to beat you over the head with Cadians. Then we got the Imperial Guard Armory. We're just going to jump into a couple different things. We need to get to... here's the Sanctioned Psyker. You got your good old Commissar. I always liked this art. What I wanted to do is you get a lot of different types, but this one I thought was interesting. The Conscript Infantry Platoon with a little side blurb here. And I've always liked the idea of this because it did add so much of a flavor to the Imperial Guard. Now we'll jump forward. So there's a lemon rust for us. And we're going to jump over here. We got our Lord Castellan, Creed, or the Big Lad, as I always like to call him, or Mr. Cigar, as my little brother would call him. And then we get some other things with alternate regimental organizations. And then we get more information on the Guardians with these charming. Let's call them charming little illustrations. And you get some groups in here that you normally wouldn't see. Now, you've probably seen videos which show some of these often people are talking about, like the Chem Dogs here. Or you might know these guys from a Forge World. Or the Skull Takers. Some interesting little ideas. A summary. And a third war for Armageddon. Yeah. Boy, what an interesting thing. But it was an interesting time. There was a lot of time between releases in a lot of cases, and you got a lot of use out of it. Consider that between this second codex for the Imperial Guard and the first Imperial Guard codex that they got for 3rd edition, there was 4 years. There was 4 years between the first Imperial Codex for 3rd edition and the second. Good Lord. And you get an idea just how long editions used to simmer, how long they used to be there, how there would actually become a need for an update, especially if some units or some things were added. But it was an interesting time, and this is a fun book. Have you guys got any fond memories of this particular codex? Do you think the first one for 3rd edition was better? Is there a favorite? Do you prefer the 2nd edition with a Catachan on it? Yeah, get to some good old jungle fighters, or get Artie on it. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think. But I think this does, when we look at through it in the context of when it was released, how much time there was, you get a real sense of what the game used to be like. And it wasn't really a giant rush. There was, in a lot of cases, it could be bad, it could be good. You could be left with something that was horrendous. You could be left with something that was insane or obscenely overpowered. Or you could just be massively mediocre. It could be a little bit of everything, but it was an interesting time that had a lot less pressure on a near constant release schedule, or knowing that all of the books you bought for an edition were going to be gone in 3 short years. There was more time between this second rendition of the Codex and the first rendition of Codex than most modern editions for a Games Workshop game. Just think about that. So, guys, if you had enjoyed it, let me know what your experiences are at Games Workshop. Instead of getting angry that I do talk about any of these, why don't you just put these on print on demand? Enjoy the money. Stop being jackasses. And for everybody else, I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.